Hello, I am Mélanie Galland de Wavrin. I'm a former PH patient, was diagnosed as a child, but I am now in charge of HTAP France, the French-based patient organization. And I think my being a former patient is also useful to have an insight about the needs of the other patients. I'm going to talk to you today about how to organize a pediatric PH patient family weekend. You can see here WEEF, that stands for the French Weekend Enfant Famille. What we mean is that these special weekends are intended for families who have one or several children who have PH. And we are trying to do it for families and also close relatives the family wants to include. So let me talk about how we do it in France now. So what is quite important is the initial planning. To organize a family weekend, you'd better anticipate quite a bit depending of the size of your country, the number of people you want to include in it, and maybe the professionals you want to include in the organization. You have to think ahead. So 6 months to 12 months seems something reasonable. In your organization team, you will have maybe insiders, people that really know what PH is. Maybe they would be patients or patient relatives. Maybe you can have a doctor, or maybe you have a nurse, and you also have people with competences and talents. So you need really a team built with very different and people that complete each other. And then you have to define the objectives. What is your first objective? Do you just want people to get to know each other? Do you want children and families to learn about their disease? Do you want them to play together? So the objectives are quite important to define before, because then you won't involve the same person, you won't need the same materials. So this has to be quite precise, and it can, of course, also be mixed objective events. And of course, we'll need money. So define a budget. At HTAP France, we want to make the cost as small as possible for families. So we look for some financial support, and we try and look everywhere we can help, so that it can cover most of the costs, because then afterwards also people have to pay for their travel. So it's money and money and money. And if families are big, you wouldn't like people just to not come all together. And then, which is also quite important, is to find the appropriate dates. Depending also on the size of your country, on maybe if there are different holiday zones, or are there many dates that are reserved, to family events, etc. Maybe you will have dates to avoid. If you want to have some professionals, then think about medical conferences they have to attend. So this is not the most easy part of it. So defining your objectives, I told you before, it can be a mixed kind of objectives. You can aim to create an inclusive environment for learning, support, and fun. Anyway, you have to be inclusive for people to feel well there, and to feel like coming. Maybe you would like to facilitate connections between families and between children, and between teens that have PAH, and also for those children or teens that have a brother or sister who has PAH. And then you will maybe wish to provide educational and bonding opportunities in a happy family atmosphere. So you see, the atmosphere is something you will like to work on, because it's part of the thing. It's family weekend, has to be fun. It has to be something where you want to go, and you come from with a big smile on your face, and you are reboosted for the rest of the year. Suitable venue, it means that it will be easy to go there. Maybe you make sure that there's a train station not very far. It's also accessible by car. That also depends on the culture in your country. How do people go. Well, do they use the car better? Do they use transport? So anyway, you have to get there quite easily enough. Otherwise people won't come. But also it has to be easy when you're there. Not too many steps. It's better if it's a flat place, or if it's not flat, you will need some lifts, etc. Be careful, maybe water is not too close if there are very little children who will be coming, because you don't want to have to look after lost children the whole weekend. It will not be fun then. So suitable venue. You will think also that families will need their own bathroom. Don't go to the other part of the building to go to the toilets, because you know that some people are under diuretics, and it's well, let's make it easy for people. You also maybe will ensure oxygen there if some people do need oxygen, and check for appropriate activity spaces. So there are many things to think about, and maybe you can write all your requirements on a list and then give that list to the hotel or whatever place to have them check what you really want to have. So the priorities are. The picture here shows a place where we went. It's a center for handicapped people, but it's where handicapped people work, not just where they stay. And they were it's a place where they work about ponies and horses, and we could sleep there and have a whole weekend there. It was really nice. Having your team a nurse, a doctor, if it's even better if you have both. It will stop people before coming. They will come more easily if they know that there are people there who will be able to intervene if there's anything with a bump or whatever. And then you will have with you all the nurse emergency number, telephone for physicians, pharmacies, etc. that would be around. Maybe also because in the whole center you will need to get in touch with each other for maybe you give some to someone or look for something. Then you can make a WhatsApp list. You can also have on list the number and the address of the nearest hospital pharmacy if anyone is in need of special pH medication that you can get only in hospitals. And also make sure that patients who use a pump maybe have with them the spare one, which is quite important. And maybe that they also tell their provider that they will be away and give the address just in case. Maybe it's too many things to have, but you'd better have all the emergency information and not need it, rather than look for something you can't find when things happening. So together with the objectives you have put, you will think of a program with different parts. You have maybe some sessions with the physician, be session for children or for parents, maybe all together. Or all together then separate. A good idea maybe is to have the children with the physician. Parents would be there but just listening, and the physician would start by what children know about that disease, and then develop questions they will have, and then they can learn better from what they already know. It's quite a good method. And then when children don't have any more remarks or questions, then they can go and play with someone, and parents will stay, raise their own questions. Maybe it could be more technical about medicine. It can also be questions that you wouldn't dare raise in front of your child, or you wouldn't just dare to raise, because we are in a small group and everyone talking the same language. Then you will be more at ease to raise your question. It can be sometimes difficult to listen to the answers, because we all know it's quite a difficult disease and a severe one. But when you are in a secure environment, it really helps, and you have all around you other parents for whom the difficulty is present as well. And so that would be support anyway. But family weekend even if it's about PAH, is not only something serious. It can and it must be fun. So you will have to think about some games, some activities. It can be creative. It can be spontaneous games where you play and invent things. You can maybe invent a song together. Many nice and creative things that you would like to play and to do all together. You can bring books and you can bring toys and games, of course, some pens and colors, everything to do things with your own and to express stuff, because children will need to express what they have inside them. They will probably talk a lot, but they will also express in other ways about what they feel, what they think, maybe their fears, but also their hopes. You will think about transportations. You will think of easy parking. You will plan the meals. Do several people have special requirements? Maybe you have some adult patients in your team. They will maybe need low salted meals. Think about the registration tests. Remember that we are in a patient environment, and it can mean that someone will resign just the day before. So you have to think maybe to talk with the hotel of the venue that it has to be adaptive right to the end of the event. Think of the room assignments. Who will need maybe more ease? Maybe someone cannot go on the second floor, but someone else can. Do families have to stay all in the same room? Do they need two, etc.? Maybe you will have someone in your team that would help patients and participants to take their luggage out of the car, maybe to come from the same station, which hopefully will not be too far from the venue. So at every stage of the organization, you will have to think about the very practical organization on site. You will think about transportations. You will think of easy parking. You will plan the meals. Do several people have special requirements? Maybe you have some adult patients in your team. They will maybe need low salted meals. Think about the registration tour. You can see here some photographs. It was very nice, for instance, to have a session for coffee. It was quite informal. It hadn't been really decided. We just knew that we would have coffee with the physician before he goes, and look what it looks like. Everyone sitting under the tree having his coffee, and the doctor answering to everyone's questions. It was really a precious moment, and everyone remembers about that moment. Here we had some volunteers that came with makeup for children, and underneath you can see that children were also very eager to listen to information about the disease, as long as it's not too complicated and doesn't last too long. And if you bring costumes with you, people with children, will play roles. Well, sometimes also adults, but more likely children will use them, and it will be fun, and it makes them express themselves more easily and make friends also very easily. Maybe train. Well, you can have someone who will train the whole team of children or teens to create something together. It can be portrait sessions. It can be singing, it can be playing, it can be caricatures. So many things actually to do when you have ideas, but it's better to have it planned before, even if you adapt to what children will like and their ideas. But you should have one idea with you and quite a lot of material. Very simple, but quite a lot. First of all, you will need friendly, patient people. Look at these faces. They're all smiling. They're willing to listen. In a family weekend, you will have people who come for the first time. They may have never exchanged about their fears, their questions, and also it may be the first time they will be able to express themselves. So you see here we had a psychologist, and she was able to listen to parents as well as children, and to make children express what they have in their heart, and in a very good way. There was very good organizer who could tell everyone what they had to do. And I like it when we have some insiders. The best case is when you have a child who has become an adult with the age. And here you have this young lady we knew as a very young girl who used to come to our family weekend, and then she comes with her boyfriend, and they are really very good helpers, organizers, examples, and it really gives hope to have like these people who have grown with the disease and that they are well now. Of course, they're still ill, but they are making their lives and having quite a normal life, and it's really something that's cheering people up as well, parents and children. It's if you can have a social worker or a psychologist, different specialists. It depends also on your network, who you can find in your network. One year we had a sophrologist. At the beginning, no one wanted to go to see her, but in the end, some people came. Oh, where is she? I wanted to have to have a time with her. Oh, she's gone. I'm so sorry. So it's nice to introduce people in a pleasant way so that people are not frightened to go there and to try things, because it's really helpful. You also have to brief the whole team about the special cases and what's to avoid and the attitude to have. So everyone has to be on the same level of knowledge for essential things. First of all, you will need friendly, patient people. Look at these faces. They're all smiling. They're willing to listen. In a family weekend, you will have people who come for the first time. They may have never exchanged about their fears, their questions, and also it may be the first time they will be able to express themselves. So you see here we had a psychologist, and she was able to listen to parents as well as children, and to make children express what they have in their heart, and in a very good way. There was communication is also something you have to work on. At first, you use communication to make people aware of you are organizing a family weekend, so because you want them to register to your weekend. Afterwards, you want to communicate about your weekend, because it's a nice event, and you're proud of it, and you also would like that people register to the next one. But on-site communication is also important, because I think I mentioned it before. The whole team has to be reachable during the week. So you will like to make a WhatsApp group for people to be touched quite easily. On site, you will also prepare some nice welcome, maybe presents or welcome cards. You can also have a participant book where they can write what they think the weekend, what their desires are, maybe their dreams and whatever. If they want to keep a trace of what was happening, they will also like to build something together. And at the end of the weekend, you will give them a satisfaction survey with a place open to suggestions, so that you can improve from one to another. Maybe you can think about other communication probably, but think of communication about the weekend, but also communication during the weekend towards the parents, towards the other caregivers, and between the team. Follow-up is quite important. You will care about the follow-up, because you also want to terminate the weekend nicely. Maybe make a souvenir show that you will be able to send them afterwards. You like to improve the project. You would like to have their opinion about it. You would like to share digital photo albums, and all this is not just to say we had a nice weekend, we are so proud, it's lovely and everything, but also very, very likely during the weekend there will have been new bonds between people, and you would like them to go on talking to each other, because it can really help in the life of patients to have someone to talk to that really speaks the same language. So you will facilitate, in fact, them to keep the link all together, and so staying in touch is quite objective, in fact, because making friends is an objective. It's socializing with people who have the same disease is a real asset. So it's something you can give them, and in the follow-ups, it's quite a precious thing to implement. Closing a weekend is very important because it does completely finishes something, it opens something else. So you can send to all the participants a message of gratitude. Thank you for participating to this weekend and making it what it was. Remember what we said. Maybe there will be a phrase or a nice say that could be the symbol of that weekend. For instance, in fact, we realized at HDAB France that nearly at every weekend there was a sentence that was quite a formula you want to keep, because it says in a positive way what we can build together. You can see that picture there. It's a drawing that children made all together with a psychologist, and when they were discussing all together, there was that sentence coming out, which means love is stronger than the disease. So at the end of the weekend, if you can just maybe just before leaving, or if you send to the participants something with that sentence, maybe they can have it in hand and in mind and say, yes, I met some great people over there. I spent some very precious hours, and I met those people that are very important to me. And of course, love is stronger than the disease. When you have some more difficult times in your disease, it's very it's cheerful. It makes you feel better when you have nice souvenirs of such moments that will help you to come over difficult moments. And if you have the picture next to you, maybe in your bedroom or in your purse or whatever, then it's like a thing you bring with you. And don't forget also to give the contact information for further support future events. And if people there have exchanged their contacts, then you can be sure that they will use the contact and speak to each other and spend some time together, organize themselves to do so. Closing a weekend is very important because it does completely finishes something, it opens something else. So you can send to all the participants a message of gratitude. Thank you for participating to this weekend and making it what it was. Remember what we said. Maybe there will be a phrase or a nice say that could be the symbol of that weekend. For instance, in fact, we realized at HDAB France that nearly at every week. Well, I hope you can bring all this together, and it will be okay. Well, I hope